Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Bree, and continuing the cable TV discussion from earlier, I am counting down the top 25 live action children's shows. So the show can have animation segments. So some of these shows are going to have animation segments, but it has to have a live action segment as well, whether it is a bumper or whatever. It has to have a live action element. So number 25, obviously I prefaced this so I could put number 25 on the list. The Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Depending on your sensibilities, you're either there for the live action segments and you're ignoring the cartoon, or you're there for the cartoon and you're just waiting for the live action segments to get over. Or you're there for both. I was there for the live action, didn't care for the cartoon. Number 24 is Degrassi, but I'm not going to specify which Degrassi. Pull one out of the hat, watch it, you're good to go. It could be Kids at Degrassi Street, it could be Degrassi High, Junior High, Next Generation, whatever. Just pick one, watch it, you're good to go. Number 23 is All That. All That is, to put it bluntly, SNL for teenagers. And it aired on Nickelodeon back in the day. Number 22 is WWF Monday Night Raw. Now, modern times, I would argue SmackDown is the more kid-friendly show. Raw is the more adult-oriented show, but they're both age-appropriate for kids. But I'm just saying, basically, WWF, Monday Night Raw, or SmackDown, take your pick. Number 21, The Adventures of Pete and Pete. This was a family, I guess, sitcom, question mark, that ran on Nickelodeon for, I don't know, a month and a half, and then fell into obscurity. But it was hilarious for the month and a half it was on TV. Number 20, Are You Afraid of the Dark? This is basically Tales from the Crypt for kids. It's, that's basically what it is. It's horror stories, but packaged in a way that's palatable for children. Number 19, I just talked about a few days ago, and while I was harsh on it, it still made the list because, if you're a kid or you have kids, it's still an appropriate show for children to watch. And, it's got, you know, it's fine. It's got special effects, monsters, whatnot. It's Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. Yes, the show is pretty much rubbish, but like half of these shows are rubbish anyways. So what are you going to do? Number 18 is the Canadian produced precursor to All That. You can't do that on television. Again, it's a variety show. That's all it is. Number 17, you've probably never heard of. You can Google it, and then you're going to be confused if you do. It's called Space Cases. It's basically Nickelodeon's version of Star Trek. It's Star Trek for kids. Although I would argue it's actually watchable, whereas Star Trek, if you watch more than 2 episodes in your lifetime, it's going to put you in a coma. Don't watch Star Trek. Number 16 is The Secret World of Alex Mack. This is another Nickelodeon show. It's a pseudo superhero show, kinda, sorta. It's a girl who gets splashed by a mysterious chemical that gives her superpowers. Very fun. Number 15, another Nickelodeon show, Legends of the Hidden Temple. This was a game show with, I would say, some similarities to American Gladiators, but not quite, but close enough. Number 14 was the game show people who watched Nickelodeon back in the day do remember, Double Dare. It's a trivia show with green slime. Number 13 should probably be higher on the list, but as I've gone on in time, I've reshuffled some of these around. 5 years ago, number 13 would have been higher on the list than it is now. But today, as I look back on it, no, but it's Saved by the Bell. Now, the reason why I knock Saved by the Bell a couple of points um, is because, one, Dustin Diamond is dead, which is unfortunate. It makes watching the show painful because, he's a big part of the show. And two, the college years fucking blows chunks. And just by its existence has tainted the memory of the good Saved by the Bell. Also, the new class, which is goddamn rubbish. Drink toilet water. You're going to get a better experience than watching Saved by the Bell, the new class. Number 12 is Pee-wee's Playhouse. I bumped this one up a couple of notches because Paul Reubens just passed away recently, and I felt like it's worth mentioning, But Pee-wee's Playhouse was a lot of fun. Pee-wee's Playhouse didn't get talked about a lot because of the incident. I'm not going to elaborate. But because of the incident, people didn't want to talk about Pee-wee's Playhouse for a long time. But I still think it deserves being talked about. It's a fun show. And it's got Morpheus before he was Morpheus. Number 11, The Wonder Years. The Wonder Years is the only family drama I ever got into. It's a story about a kid who's growing up in, I think, 60s or 70s. I don't remember. It's not very clear. And he's basically, it's either the 60s or 70s because Vietnam is taking place. That's how I know. But basically, it's just a kid it's basically Leave It to Beaver if people took it seriously and it wasn't a damn sitcom. Number 9 is Sesame Street. I only put Sesame Street on the list because I learned how to count and learned how to speak a little bit of Spanish and how to read and write watching Sesame Street. But Muppets terrify me, so it shouldn't be on the list because I hate Muppets. But what are you going to do? Cookie Monster. Elmo. What are you going to do? Big Bird. Number 8, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? This is a musical / game show that ran on PBS in the 90s. Made famous by the Rockapella theme song, Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego? You can Google Rockapella if you want to get that song stuck in your head, but I don't advise it. Because once it's in your head, it takes, brain surgery to get it removed. Speaking of which, number 7 is This Is the Song That Never Ends, and Now You Hate Me. It's Lamb Chops. Lamb Chops, I don't count Lamb Chops as a Muppet. Lamb Chops is a sock puppet, so I'm okay with it. I can handle a sock puppet. Speaking of which, number 6 is Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, I wanted to put this one higher on the list, partially because, he passed away and he was a big part of my childhood, memories, whatnot. But as I looked at the list, there were a couple other shows that I felt had been forgotten that need to be remembered. And nobody's going to forget Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. So it sits comfortably at number 6. It's a safe spot for it. But it could be higher if these other shows didn't exist, but they need to be talked about because people don't talk about them. Number 5 is Salute Your Shorts. Go to Pushing Up Roses, shout out to Pushing Up Roses, and watch her video on Salute Your Shorts. And then, wherever you get Nickelodeon TV shows, I don't know, is it Netflix or whatever, go there and watch Salute Your Shorts. It's a hilarious show. Number 4 is probably one of the most iconic children's shows of my youth, but also, again, doesn't get talked about enough or remembered as fondly as it should. And this is Clarissa Explains It All. Melissa Joan Hart before she was number 3, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Sabrina the Teenage Witch is the TGIF version of Sabrina. So it's a teen sitcom based on the comic book character. It's a hell of fun. Really good show. I can't say enough good things about it. Number 2, only up until the movie, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. After the movie, you're done. We don't need In Space or In Time or RPM or Zeo or Turbo or none of that bullshit. Just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. But it is one of the greatest fucking TV kids shows ever made. Um, it's one of only a handful of kid shows that I can revisit as an adult and still enjoy. Not just because of nostalgia, but it's a good show. It's a good sci-fi fantasy horror show with some martial arts and ninjas. Only they're not really ninjas until they are ninjas, but whatever. Number one, greatest live action kid show of all time. Don't come at me. It is the truth. It's written in a stone tablet somewhere in the desert, buried in ancient Samaria. It is Boy Meets World. And this is just, truth handed down to you from the gods by way of my mouth. Boy Meets World is the shit. Watch it, and then rewatch it, and then watch it again, and then rewatch it again, and then pass it on. Stay cool.